Welcome, my internet friends. Welcome to the Rigel Show. We're coming to you live. Oh, wow. Hold on. I just heard myself coming through the live stream, so I'm going to try that again. Welcome, my internet friends. We are coming to you live from my driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the cosmic navel, where song runs through all of reality, okay? This is a playful space, a Theotokian riparian zone that seeks to integrate traditional values, modern values, progressive postmodern values, and that which is emerging on the horizon of the evolution of culture and consciousness, postmodern values. It's a place where we sell Christmas cards door to door, year round, okay? And in the words of the great mystic teacher, Sherry, okay, see what I did there? Sherry says, it's a meaning that is hidden within the mystery of the person. That this is the thing we know, that we don't know that we know. Okay? Just setting the tone for you all here. I dropped a link into the chat for you to join me. Feel free to say hello in the comments so I know that you're there. I'm going to start off this session. I'm going to enter the cosmic navel, shall I say, to be more accurate, much more accurate. I'm going to be entering the cosmic navel by sharing song number 3 from my Consciousness album, okay? It's like a 5-minute song with a very simple blob animation. Sherry, I see you out there. So glad you're here. And then, you're welcome to join for this sharing session or just come right on in afterwards. Click that link. All right. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Still learning the basics here. Say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're calling in from, on this earth. All right, sharing screen. And I'm going to go ahead and play this. This is song 3 from Consciousness. Oh, whoops. Boy, I'm really struggling here. Let's try that again, okay? We are going to go back here. Okay. Try share screen again. Share screen, live consciousness. Here we go. All right, we're back. All right. Track 3. That's the red. That's the ego stage that emerges in response to the kind of overly communal, overly mythic magic stage that begins to sacrifice babies to the rain gods. And that's when it's time to move on. So, y'all are welcome to come on in here. Anyone out there just surfing by on the World Wide Web, click the link. Let me know if the link isn't working for some reason. Oh, wow. You know what? Maybe that link, I'm going to put the link in again. This happened last time. I feel like I need to come up with a new strategy. The link is coming in there. Here we go. Here's the link. Yep. What happened is when I copied and pasted the link, it basically copied the whole string of everything I wanted to put on there together. Okay. Sherry. Sherry. So good to see you.
You too. I was taking notes.
You're taking notes.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear that I referenced you as a great mystic teacher? So just want to let you know you've kind of risen to that status. How does it feel to have that weight on your shoulders?
Well, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I'll just keep reminding myself.
Please. Okay, so here's the gentle icebreaker for today. Tell us where you're calling in from, and what's one thing that makes your day better every time?
Okay, I'm calling from the interior of British Columbia in Canada, where we're high and dry, and really dry, actually. We haven't had rain since, oh my gosh, I think we had like 1 millimeter a month ago, and it's just been so dry since March. So I'm praying for rain. And what's one thing? Right at the moment, I have my daughter and my grandson here. And so that little 1-year-old is the thing that makes my day great.
Oh,
Everything. Yeah. Yeah.
1-year-old. That's a really...
Well, he's 18 months. 18 months.
Okay. So is he walking now?
Yeah, he's walking and
That's
he's
fun.
trying to talk, and he's very opinionated and has many demands.
Oh,
He's
that's
great.
great.
I'm really loving it.
Oh, well, I'll just share my
Yeah.
one thing. So when I'm operating at my highest self, I will start my day with some prayer and meditation, and then this exercise, which I feel like I have shared with you, called Diarrhea of the Pen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so inspired by that, but I've never been able to just do it, and I really should.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sherry, there's no shoulding on yourself in the cosmic navel, but I feel, we can tap into that resistance and see what's under that rock.
That'll be good.
But when I do that, I just start thinking more metaphorically. I feel like I let go of some of the ideas that are in my head so that I can actually receive new ideas that are maybe better.
Would you call it, here's the thing, like Meister Eckhart has this great poem, and in there he says that we have to go astray. We have to go off the beaten path. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, you broke up for a second. Can you see me?
Broke up. Yeah, I see. I'm just going to open up my door here
Okay, let that Wi-Fi in.
and let my internet in.
Just let that internet in. Let that groundless ground just soak in
Yeah.
that space, Sherry. And if you need to, if you need
It's
to,
not.
go ahead.
There. Oh, it's just not great at the moment. So
Yeah.
let's see. Make sure that this goes now. I got all the doors open,
All
so
the doors open.
the the red blob can move around freely.
Good.
I don't know what I was
Well,
saying there before.
we were talking about going off the beaten path
Hmm.
as part of
Yeah.
something, and then
Yeah.
say
Well,
more.
he talks about it as going astray, and a lot of people get really nervous when they hear that because as Christians, that's like backsliding, or getting into areas that you shouldn't be involved in. And he uses the illustration of, or he's playing on the illustration of when Moses saw the burning bush
Hmm.
and he had to go off the track to get to it, right? And I've always just understood that as what you were describing as, you know, um, an exercise in critical thinking, right? So in order to critically think, you have to go off the beaten path, which is what you were talking about in your piece this morning. At least that's what I got out of it. Having no fear, being courageous,
Yeah.
right? And I liked what you were saying about the baseline
Hmm.
as a maturing. Oh,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
are you
Uh-oh.
there?
I am here.
I hear
I can
you.
hear you.
I'm gonna shut. Can I shut my camera? Is it okay if I
Yeah.
shut my camera off for a bit, Rigel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, there we go.
Okay.
That might just help on my end.
Yeah. So the
Yeah, the
baseline.
baseline maturing. I like that. And this is
I
so
can hear you
annoying.
now.
Are you there?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello,
Oh boy. I'm here.
Rigel? I'm
I
gonna.
am here. Do you want to log off and try to log back on? See if that does anything? I mean, I can play some background music. I mean, that's the thing. That is the whole thing. I can really play something here if we need just a little bit of, you know, little, yeah. This is my prayer for Sherry's internet. All right. anyone else out there, if you want to jump on, click that link, jump on in here. We're having some internet difficulties with one of our regular guests, but you're welcome to chime in on the chat, reflect on the Red Blob song that I shared, track 3 on my Consciousness album. And, we'll just kind of riff here. I can actually share, there's a couple other things I wanted to share today. One of them is some clips that I ran across last week. I clip things from YouTube, and maybe I'll share a couple of those ideas. I ran across, I was listening to Martin Shaw. It was an interview of Martin Shaw and PVK, someone who is well known in this space. And I now understand why people love Martin Shaw. And I think I've kind of maybe have a little bit of a man crush on him now as well. So I'm going to just share a couple clips from him. And let's see here. We'll share this creative process one. Okay.
All right. Whatever you need to wake up in the morning, have a period of time where you write. Most importantly, do not wait till you are inspired. Anybody, there's no you can't slip a Guinness.
Oh, let's try that again.
And those of you who saw the first part of...
Oh, man. Sorry. Let's try that again. Creative process.
11. I'm a fan of coffee. I don't remember if you drink coffee or not. No, I remember this incredibly, you need to do then is clear the schedule between, if you possibly can, between about 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock. About 8, as many of us.
Dude, the technology in this thing is...
Okay. Hey, Sherry.
Hey,
You back?
I
What?
hope so. I had to reboot.
That's great. I was trying to share a clip of Martin Shaw, but boy, my technology skills are like, I do this for a living, and I was just really struggling there. But I want to say thank you for your persistence in keeping Martin Shaw in your sphere of love. Mm-hmm. Because I finally listened to an interview with him and PVK. I haven't actually been over to his channel yet, but okay. I was like really impressed and I'm like, okay, he's
trying
one of
to
us.
Remember where I even heard of Martin Shaw. It must have been, and maybe it was Nate actually. And then I have a conversation with him on Girl Country, if you want to listen to it. I talked to him. And,
I'd love to.
You can just search it. It's pretty easy to find.
Okay.
And anyway, I was supposed to be there yesterday. I bought tickets for his event in Duncan on Vancouver Island, but I've got so much going on at the moment. I decided not to go. So, yeah.
Oh, is that where he's located?
No, he's in Canada right now.
Oh, that's right. He's from the UK.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you were to pick back up on the thread. You were talking about the baseline. We're breaking off the beaten path, and pick back up on that thread, the red blob baseline.
Yeah, well, it was, I just wrote these things here. I am king. I like the great take on that, actually. It's like a nod towards the ego, right? And the purposes that it serves. Like no more child sacrificing.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the same thing over and over again. I love that.
Yeah.
Novelty. That
Yeah.
was novelty for me. And then because of that, there's no fear, there's this courageousness thing. And the bass line is, musically speaking, it's like it's the thing that helps you to find your way home, right? Which reminded me of this, and I never put it together with a bass line, but it's very much the same idea as a poem I wrote a long time ago. There's such a fine line that I walk upon. As I look down on it, it is there and then gone. Oh, how I weary of light that shines, making it thick once, making it fine. As the one foot falls right after the other, the line swerves around and draws itself under. As I try so hard to stay out of its wake, I'm still held by the path that it makes. And then sometimes I include, there's a last stanza. I don't always include it when I read it, but it's, so I pray God's face really shines on mine, ever changing the perspective of my fine line. But that's like that bass line, right? Like, as the one foot falls right after the other, the line swerves around and draws itself under. That like as the melody falls, right? The line swerves around and draws, like it's carrying that, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah. It reminded me of that.
Yeah. And the bass, what's interesting about the bass is it's this interesting kind of liminal space between rhythm and melody, where it's not fully one or the other, but it binds them together.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, which is what that line does in my poem, right? It gives you, it makes sense of what seems to be not connected, not dissonant, not dissonant, but dissonant. And then the other thing was the cyclical thing. So this morning I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about cyclical time and linear time. And this is something that's really important in Orthodoxy, actually. And as I was listening to, I didn't get to finish it, but as I was listening to it, I left them a comment because it came back to me that Emil Boek talks about in his Apocalypse of St. John. Well, let me just say this. They were saying how linear time doesn't allow for freedom, which is something that it seems counterintuitive. Because when you have cyclical time, and they were talking about cycles like fertility cycles in women, all kinds of cycles, right? That there is a kind of not every day is a fertile day. Let's say if you want to take the fertility cycle in a woman, it's a small window, really, right? And so there's a sort of freedom in the cyclical time because it's not always the same. Like not every day is a fertile day, right? And they were comparing it to being on the pill, where every day is the same. It's a non-fertile day, right? So it flattens, interestingly enough, this linear time, right? This every day is the same kind of day, and but the cyclical time allows for more freedom. And I was reminded of Emil Boek's the Apocalypse of St. John, where he talks about the phrase in there about like the end of days or the end of time or the end, you see a lot of people with those sandwich boards, the end is near, from Revelation. He describes that end as more of a compressed sense of time. So there's time kind of piles in on you and weighs down on you. And I thought, oh, this is exactly what cyclical time doesn't do, right? So like as a farmer, I'm out there in the garden in the spring under a lot of pressure because I got to get the seeds in the ground. But then the cycle begins and I have to wait. And so then you have all this time, freedom, right? To do other things. And then it cycles into, oh, now it's time to weed the garden, right? Because the plants are coming up. And that's, I think they're right to say it's counterintuitive. Like you wouldn't think that cyclical time would be allowing for freedom, but it actually does. Isn't that
I'm
interesting?
loving this. I so freaking agree with you.
Okay.
And yeah, I have like a couple different directions I want to
Good. Go.
explore on this topic.
Yeah. Because I just started thinking about it this morning, like when I heard them talking about it.
Yeah. Hey, Ethan.
Oh, Ethan, come on. Give up on
Come
your...
on.
Don't
Get in
do-
here, Ethan.
Come on, Ethan. It's only for 40 minutes.
So cyclical time is like, it's like a merry-go-round where, all right, there's,
Wait, I want to say something about merry-go-rounds because
okay, say it.
the old-fashioned merry-go-rounds, they don't just go around; they go up and down too.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Haven't you ever been on an old carousel where you sit on the horse?
Yeah.
Goes
Oh,
around
right.
and it goes up and down and up and down. Like that's the movement of the animal,
Yeah.
But you could call it an actual natural movement. Like even when we walk, we go up and down. Right. Anyway.
So what was kind of bubbling up while you were talking about this is this type of music called montuno. And this is probably, I think I explained this in one of my Christmas album videos. We've talked about this.
I watched that video. It was so fun.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to play like a very basic montuno and talk about why I think this is such a spacious and playful and freeing style of music. So the montuno, the type of montuno I play is just a 2-chord kind of back and forth. It's toggling between two unresolving chords that lead into the next chord and kind of lead back. And so it creates this like cyclical process, right? So you have... right? Just the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Which can get repetitive, but...
It doesn't.
It doesn't. And I know. But it's like a merry-go-round where a kid who's maybe never gotten on the merry-go-round before and is like watching it come around and then realizes like, okay, I just need to speed up a little bit. Now I can jump on. And that's what this kind of repetition creates is this access point for people to like hop on the merry-go-round. And then once you're on, then you can keep like iterating and playing and it becomes part of this like, the merry-go-round is like going on inside you.
Oh,
and so then you can add on to it. And so, you'll have a bass player going like boom, 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 boom. And then you'll have a clave person going like gak, 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 gak. And it turns into this just like rich communal experience where everyone's just like it's a party. It's a freaking party.
Well, here, you know what I'm thinking? It's a flow state. It's inducing the flow state. I was, when you were talking about it, I was thinking about double Dutch as a kid. You have two ropes going together and you would do this for the longest time. You're staring at it and you're just moving in the rhythm. And then you get in and you can't think about it. This is the thing. You have to be in a flow state to skip double Dutch. If you start thinking about it, you're out.
You're out.
You're done.
Yeah.
That is cool. I never thought about that before.
And so like the linear time, and linear time, it has its advantages, but it also creates kind of this like constant panic of having to like figure out what's next. There isn't this resting and waiting
No.
and playfulness when you're just constantly looking over the horizon for the next enemy
Right.
or the next piece of food that I need to capture.
Right.
And so, okay, so there's that little tangent. And then I am wondering what you think about cyclical time and linear time mapping to the feminine and the masculine.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, that's spears and the womb.
Yeah, come on. Totally.
The thing that penetrates, right?
Yeah.
And the womb. Oh yeah,
Yep.
totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's my
Yeah.
theory is cyclical time is the Theotokian
I know so many women,
move.
they hate having their periods because they always have to PMS before.
Mm-hmm.
And the PMS can almost initiate a divorce.
Interesting.
And I say to them, look, you got to keep those guys on their toes, okay? They're going to fall into a rut because they're straight shooters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to knock them out every now and then. You send them for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't feel bad about it. It's the way it's supposed to be, or it wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Hey, Mandy. Jump on in here, Mandy. You're welcome. Welcome here. It makes me wonder, okay, so maybe I can't believe I'm talking about PMS. This is a safe space, Sherry. That's the thing. This is a safe space for flourishing.
You know about PMS because you're on the receiving end. You're on the feminine side of PMS.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think about, okay, you know the yin yang symbol, how there's a little eye of the opposite within each kind of
Yes.
polarity? Well, what if the PMS is actually kind of this masculine moment
For the woman.
within the cycle?
Yeah. And I actually think men PMS too. They just don't realize it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah, there's cycles there too. But for women, it's obvious because it's accompanied with like a manifestation of the thing, right? But no, yeah. When you mentioned the yin and yang symbols and the two dots inside, my first thought was the Orthodox wedding ceremony. Because they exchange crowns.
Right.
The roles change, right?
That is awesome.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. All emotions more on the surface. Yeah. No, not just the bad feels. That's right. Like everything gets, yeah. And this is why I get frustrated when people dismiss emotion as something to be avoided, to like, you can't speak from that place. You have to speak, on a level of like logic and as soon as things get emotional, everybody gets nervous. I don't know. Jesus got emotional.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Well, emotional for me, it makes me feel out of control and like I don't know where it's going to go. And so my reaction is to just kind of screw a lid down on that. And I've just been doing that for years. So
yeah, because that's not linear anymore.
Not
Now you're
linear.
on the, what do they call that? An emotional roller coaster?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yes, you can get overly emotional, and yes, emotions can become a problem, but you can't that we're so many parts of ourselves, right? I had this is kind of a sad example, but it was a real big learning lesson for me was I had a friend who committed suicide, and at the time, so I mean, the story behind him was I was in a psych ward, and he was there too, and he left earlier, but he had nowhere to go, and then when I left the psych ward, I said to him, "You can come home with me," because that's how I am. I couldn't imagine just leaving this guy on the street, right? And I asked my husband first, of course, and then so he came home with us, and he lived with us for about 6 months, and at the end of that 6 month period, he committed suicide. So he was in there trying to commit suicide, you know. And it was a very intense getting to know each other thing because we were both very fragile, very vulnerable, very emotional, very off balance, mentally. And we dug down into a lot of it was super intense. And he wasn't taking his medications, and he was schizoaffective. So he was like bipolar and manic and all that stuff. Now, why am I saying this? Oh, when he committed suicide, I was just 6 months into my recovery, and I was still not good. And there's a phenomenon that when someone close to you commits suicide, oftentimes others around them will. And it's not a giving up; it's a longing to be with. So I experienced this, but I was thank God, I was like aware of the fact that this was not an option anymore, right? And so I thought, how do I combat this? Because the feeling to join him was really strong. And so I decided to go, I decided to move into my grief instead of not get emotional about the loss, which is, I think, what a lot of people do. They kind of gloss over, it's like they have their cry, have their big cry, and then they move on, right?
Yeah.
And so I told my husband, I said, I'm going to grieve River. So just be patient with me. And I took he left some personal belongings here, some boots and coats and things, and I just laid them around the house, like where he would have left them. And my husband comes home, he says, why are River's boots out why did you hang his coat up? I said, just leave it, please. Just leave it. I need him here. And I did it for a week. It took me a week. At one point, my husband said, how long are you going to do this? Because I really just laid on the couch and cried. And I said, I don't know, as long as it takes. And after about a week, I was good. I was good. Like in a way that I had never experienced before. And I had to grieve things in the past, that kept coming back in, because they were unresolved. It was unresolved grief in a way. So I guess what I'm saying with that is that what I learned about because these are cyclical, Rigel, cyclical things, right? That we go through, and if we remember back to our conversation where we talked about reaching for the good, that's what we're always trying to do. We're looking for the good thing, right? We're trying to find that. And if we turn back too soon, there's no closure on that journey. So I personally have learned to move into whatever it is. Move into the joy, move into the suffering, right?
I'm really good at moving into the joy.
Pick it up and look at it. Like do a third person perspective on it. Yeah. Did you ever hear of the third man phenomenon? I think it was Shackleton is the first recorded, or the one that I know of anyway. There might be earlier ones than that, but wasn't it them that got shipwrecked in the Arctic? Their ship got frozen in, and they ended up walking across the they ended up walking across the some landscape in the Arctic where they were, and they were starving, and I think they were trying to catch up with some other crew members that ended up on the wrong side of the island or the other side. And they really had no idea where they were going, and they were freezing. And anyway, there was a third man with them. There was a guy who didn't belong to the crew, who kept urging them on, and they all saw him. And this is a phenomenon. Like, people have experienced this many times. And I think we can actually get that perspective, on ourselves, on our single, like, we're that third man in those, starkest of conditions, appears to you, but he's always present with you. And so you can, this might sound really weird. I hope I'm not making myself sound like a basket case, but anyway. So what I've often done is recruited to, fourth man in the fire. I know. I've thought about that too, in the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. To that third man position, right? Where I can go, okay, let's just have a look at this. Like in a dream. I often have third person perspective dreams. Do you? Where you can see what's happening, like from a distance?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that. Look at it like a dream. Here's River. Here's Sherry. This is, how are we gonna fix this? There's dissonance here. How do we integrate all this in?
Yeah.
And it helps with having compassion on yourself, not kicking yourself when you're down.
That's hard. Yeah, it's interesting that you bring up suicide, because I don't know if I told you this, but my sister Meadow commit suicide.
Oh no, I didn't.
As well.
No.
Yeah, like kind of later in life. I was 24 and she was 28, and it was brutal. Really brutal.
Yes.
Weird thing is that can actually be side effect of shock, feels dreamlike and not real. Yep.
We don't have to talk about it here, Rigel, but if you ever want to talk about that with me, I would be more than happy to do that, because I have kind of a first person perspective on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, another time. Not now.
Yeah. So back to cyclical and linear. The red blob. Luke is out there somewhere. Luke, you're welcome to just join in here. Yeah. This is very free flowing, buddy.
There's also, I have one other note at the end. Ego evolves, and this is a question to you. The ego evolves or becomes nostalgic? ?
Ooh.
Because, there was something about that last line that reminded me of nostalgia in a way.
I don't remember my last line. What was the last line?
Oh, it was something about it goes back, like the bass line, it evolves or it goes back.
Oh.
And I thought, I wonder if that's nostalgia. I just thought I'd ask you what you thought of that.
Yeah. No, I feel like sometimes I'll write this stuff and it'll be, putting this whole project together was really kind of a fascinating experience, because it's like the music is kind of like riffing off of the concept, and then the words are riffing off of the music, and then the blob is kind of like riffing off of all of it.
Yeah.
But let me,
Can you find it?
yeah, I want to, my videos. Come on, Raj. Here we go. All right, so.
Very last, I think it's close to the end. See if I can find it on YouTube here.
Yeah, I got it. Whoops. Here we go. So we've got, that's that blob, that's that blob. Then it's the red blob. It says red blob will either evolve or revert back to the more stable purple stage.
There it is. Yes, the more
Yeah.
stable purple stage. And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's nostalgia.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Because there is this kind of longing for, I mean, in that red stage, in that linear sense of time,
Yeah.
everything is exciting and new and conquering and draining, you know. And if you're not at the top of the pile, if you're not king, it might just be easier to revert back to just sacrificing to the gods and hoping Santa Claus, you know, sees your good works.
Yeah, like that to me, that's when the Israelites long for leeks and, you know, and I can't remember the line exactly, but they want to go back to Egypt, right? Which is a nostalgia, right? It's it's obviously not the real story, because in Egypt they were slaves, but they ate food that they liked, which is what they didn't have. So, yeah, I don't know. I wondered about that. I don't think nostalgia is necessarily bad, because sometimes what it does is remind us of the good things. We can paint pictures, very bleak and dark pictures of our past. But then all of a sudden we find ourselves wishing for this moment. We're like, wait a minute, I thought my past was horrible and I'm supposed to forget it. But no, there was actually good stuff there, you know?
Yeah.
I got a phone ringing. It's okay, just keep going.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of when nostalgia shows up in my life. It feels like a like future thinking it feels like kind of an offensive move, and nostalgia feels like a defensive move to kind of like protect
A little fetal position.
Yeah, the space that I had.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think both can be valuable and both can turn into a vicious cycle of, you know, destruction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're often nostalgic for our childhoods. But if we think about childhood trauma, which everyone suffers from,
Yep.
by the way, otherwise you wouldn't become truly human.
Yeah.
Just saying, people, get over it. Yeah, you can nostalgically look back at your childhood and then you get interrupted with, but wait, it wasn't all that great. But then there was all these like you can remember the family picnics or the fishing trip or the, you know,
Yeah.
it feels a little dissonant, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see, what does Mandy say?
Yeah.
It says, these things, the beauty, the memory of our own past, are good images of what we really desire. But if they are mistaken for the thing itself, they turn into dumb idols, breaking the hearts of their worshipers.
Wow.
Wow.
Mandy.
Dang it, Mandy.
Oh, it's Lewis. I'm like, Mandy's not that smart. No. That's great, Mandy. That's great. Wow.
Have it on your wall. Wow, yeah.
Wow. You're smart, Mandy.
So one of the things I wanted to do today
Cool.
was officially announce the open mic
Yeah.
on June 20th. And I made a little advertisement video,
Cool.
which I was going to play here.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, we could riff on it if there's any, we can workshop it.
Sure.
We can add to it. If there's anything you have to say, I could even tag that on. But I was thinking if you feel like it, I could share that right now.
Yeah,
And
do
we
it.
could just
Yeah,
see
I'd
where
love to
see
see
where it
it.
goes. Okay, so here we go. Add this summer solstice TLC open mic, June 20th. Join me and my internet friends, that's you, for an evening of sharing and self-expression. Okay? It'll be live from my driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the Cosmic Navel, aka the Earth Dome that I built in my backyard. Okay, this is real. Bring something to share from your heart. A poem, a song, interpretive scarf dancing. Okay, this is a safe space. Whatever it is, you'll have up to 5 minutes to express yourself on this groundless ground. And all you have to do is just click the link to sign up, and we'll put you on the list. One other thing, we will be accepting pre-recorded submissions, but we're going to prioritize persons who show up in the flesh, in this fleshless flesh. Okay? I can't wait to be with you. By and by.
Love it. I love it, Rigel. It's so perfect. Live from the Cosmic Navel.
I just want to make sure people know what they're getting into. That,
Oh, it's so good.
this,
It's a weird place.
it's a weird place, Yeah, so is there I don't know if there's anything to add to it, but
I don't think so.
okay.
It reminds me of there's something about it that reminds me of did you ever watch SCTV? Probably not. It's old. It's old.
Yeah. No, remember,
Anyway,
Sherry, I didn't have a TV in the house until like the mid 90s, post my parents getting divorced and their authority structure unraveling. So it was like, it was first the Doritos, it was the ranch flavored Doritos chips that led to them getting a divorce. And it all came unraveled with the flavor of those ranch. Oh, so good. Oh my God. I'd never tasted anything like that. Then we had a whole bag in the house and then everything just went to shit.
Oh.
And then we got a TV, all the principles went out the window.
Yeah. Stress. That's such a stress indicator when you want to crunch on something. Did you know that?
Oh God. I know that, Sherry? That is like my thing. That is my like personal numbing activity is like salty, crunchy. Feels good to just say that out loud.
Same here. But I can't anymore. I don't do that anymore. And actually don't want to, thanks to the diet that I'm on. But I don't have that kind of stress. I don't feel like I used to eat like a bag of chips, like at least 4 or 5 times a week.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
But I wonder if that's like I'm just thinking about my dogs when they gnaw on bones. I have this one dog who has an old injury. So sometimes she's hopping around on 3 legs and she's gnawed her teeth down to nubs, chewing on a bone. because of the pain, probably.
Oh, wow.
that she's in. It's stressful, right?
Mm.
And so she can relieve the stress by chewing on a bone. I wonder if that's where we get it.
Oh, my
Just
God.
dawned on me actually while we were talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's also maybe a little bit of a dopamine addiction happening with me. So, okay, so we've talked about talking about this, and so what changed with you?
What changed?
Yeah, how did you go from
Oh, I
eating multiple bags of chips,
carnivore.
carnivore?
Carnivore.
I know, but I want to go deeper. What
Okay.
changed
Oh.
in you, Sherry?
To go carnivore?
Yeah,
I had a heart attack,
literally?
literally.
No way.
Yeah. And before that, so for about a year and a half, I was just on this rapid descent into death. And I could feel it. Like I actually started recording some of my songs on GarageBand and just putting them on my desktop because my kids had never heard them.
Oh, God.
Because I felt like I was going to die. Like I didn't want to die, but I felt like it was going to happen. So I woke up one morning with Bell's palsy. A couple months later, I got shingles on that same side of my face and all around my eye, almost lost my eyesight. Then a few months after that, I got colitis, really bad. I was unable, because of the colitis, I was unable to eat anything. Like anything, I would, couldn't go back to the old food. So started new food. That was okay for a week. And then it was, no, not that. And then a week and no, not that. And pretty soon I was desperate. And then I had a heart attack.
Wow.
And so I just knew that I had to do something,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Saudi Arabia. Wow. Hello.
Welcome.
And because I couldn't eat anything, I tried eating just meat out of desperation. I didn't know anything about the carnivore diet, actually. All I knew was that when I ate meat, I didn't really have any pain. And so I ate meat and it worked. And I just stayed with it.
Wow.
And it's like, yeah, the healing has been amazing. So, and when you eat primarily meat and like an animal-based and fat-based diet, fat is really important, you experience what they call carnivore zen. And that was the most amazing thing to me because nothing was ruffling my feathers. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't like, which I've been living with for most of my life, If I didn't get something done, it was like, well, I'll do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? It was just like, but you also have energy and feel good. Like you feel like you can tackle every single day, right? Because you're in the groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. And then, okay, so you just discovered carnivore like almost by accident.
Yeah. I mean, I'd heard Michaela Peterson talk about it when she first started it, but I thought it was extreme. I was like, okay, well, and you know how Michaela is. She is kind of an extreme person. And I just thought, yeah, okay, well, it might be good for you, but that's kind of silly. And here I am. Yeah. But I don't have a choice. Like I really don't. Like I'm affected by, if I go off of it, it's not good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been about a year, 13, 14 months now that I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
that's
been
great.
Amazing.
Mandy says, the way it seems to cure a lot of mysterious modern autoimmune things that make me ask, where did those issues come from in the first place?
Well, there's a lot of, I don't want to make this a carnivore podcast, but there's a lot of stuff out there about plant toxins. And then here's the thing, get this. So I had to go to gluten-free about 6 years ago because of my gut, which was just an indicator that things were going downhill, you know? And I was doing gluten-free bread and gluten-free noodles and gluten-free this and gluten-free that. Well, I was at the vet with my dog the other day, and I told her that because my dogs have skin issues. And so I told her that had them on a gluten-free kibble. She goes, "Okay, we got to talk about gluten-free." It's been proven in veterinary medicine that gluten-free products cause cardiac problems,
Oof.
cardiomyopathy in dogs. And I'm like, "Oh." And then I said to my husband, after the vet appointment, I was home and I was going up the stairs with my groceries, and I'm like, "Wait a minute. I had heart problems after like 6 years of gluten-free."
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, anyway. It's been
Yeah.
a struggle.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on board with it. I first experienced like a awakening to the power of protein. Like in the late 90s. It was actually on my trip here to Austin from the Northwest. My dad and I went on. There was a book called Protein Power back in the day. It was basically just you cut out all of the carbs, and
Yeah.
it's like the Atkins. I mean, there's that whole. It's gone through
Keto.
these like waves of popularity, and it like really worked for many years. Like blood pressure stuff, like losing weight. It was like
The best.
very effective.
Yeah.
And then I just slowly slided into
Then the Doritos came
delicious Doritos. Oh,
out.
and you know, having a family, it's hard to be hardcore about anything, and so
If your body isn't affected by that food. Like it probably is, but it's not like you're having any serious reactions to it. So
yeah, but I feel it in my body. Like I feel inflammation happening in places that
yeah.
it's like, wow, I just had this food yesterday and now I'm in pain.
Yes.
So I'm convinced. I don't have very mature willpower.
I mean,
So
the ketogenic diet was designed 100 years ago for kids with epilepsy, right? That they couldn't control.
yep.
And I mean, it's just been going leaps and bounds, the research actually, because there's so many people doing it now.
Yeah.
Ketogenic or carnivore is a ketogenic diet, right? So yeah, there's lots of information on the internet if anybody's listening.
Yep. Yep. Well, thanks for sharing that little bit of your history. And I didn't realize how intense and scary that was. Like
Was.
you.
I really thought I was going to die. Like I
Yeah.
I have a chair in here. I sat in this chair for like a year. I had no energy. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then about 3 weeks into the carnivore diet, I sat down in the chair because that was my normal, I kind of plodded through my chores and plodded through this and plodded. And all I could do is afterwards sit in that chair, and I was knitting or whatever. And I sat in the chair and all of a sudden I was like, I got to move. I feel like I can't do this. I can't sit here. And I went upstairs. I said to my husband, "Where's the little chainsaw?" He goes, "What?" And I said, "Where's the little chainsaw? I want to go cut some wood." He's like, "Okay." So I went back in the bush and I spent 3 hours cutting wood. I mean, it wiped me out. It wiped me out.
Yeah.
Because I was only 3 weeks into the diet, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't take any medication.
Yeah.
And they put a stent in,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just been great. Just been great.
Yeah. I mean, so I have been through couple of 12-step programs. One of them was for overeating. And one of the kind of underlying, I don't know, understandings of that addiction is that like toxic food, it's like a slow death, you know.
Yes.
With alcohol and other drugs, it's immediate and obvious, but with food, it's just this slow grinding away, and but it's still kind of this, you know, suicide in a certain sense. It's this slow, like, just happens over a long period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and they can pump you full of drugs to counteract it. Blood pressure meds, statin, you know, on and on it goes, and they just limp you along. It's pretty, yeah. You know, I was grocery shopping with my daughter the other day, and I said to her, "Man, I just keep seeing all these, like there was elderly people, but their skin was gray." I said to her, "Just look around." And then at one point she goes, "Oh, I see one." And I said, "Yeah, that's it. That's the color. It's not like pale. It's gray. It matches their hair. Like their hair and their face all look the same color." And I'm like, wonder what they're putting in their blood pressure meds now. Or their, you know, type 2 diabetes medication or whatever it is. You know, it's crazy.
Well, maybe all this talk about carnivore will kind of get me in the algorithm. You know, that's what we're really going for here, Sherry.
I'll get you going on that. I'm just looking for a little poem.
Yeah, please. Share
Not
something.
one that I had in mind. I'm just kind of, I've got these. What did I write here? This is a good one. I tried to keep a nature diary for Michael Martin's sociology class. He asked us to keep a nature diary. So I was good at it for a while, and then it just, but shall I read them? A few?
Please. Yes, absolutely. This is your share.
Did my share, yeah. So it says, "It's quiet, except for the dog's panting, and even he occasionally holds his breath to listen. The lake is still. A few ducks occupy the reeds, and every now and then a flicker calls. A dragonfly laid her eggs in the water in an act of defiance against the approaching death of winter. I hope they have time to pupate before the temperatures dip too low. I'm sure that she knows best. The trees are turning now, slowly at first. They will be bare in no time. Autumn is short here. The squirrels are preparing. I love the in-between times. They are transitioning times, transformational times. I yearn for that power in my life. The lake is still. Trees reflected flawlessly in its glass-like surface. Even the clouds hover at seeming heights in its lowest depths. All reflections are worlds turned upside down."
Oh, beautiful. When did you do this?
Saturday the 21st, 2024. I don't know what. It was in the fall. Oh, October.
I love that line when you're talking about the dog, even he holds his breath to listen. That just like put me right in the moment, because
Right?
it happens.
You can go.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love it. Here's another one from September last year. "I noticed that both roosters had lost their tail feathers today because they were molting. Somehow they resembled those cars called gremlins, if you remember them. Short and stout-bottomed, they danced and courted without the usual grace. They had lost their glory. As I glanced around, I saw lost glory everywhere. The rose bushes finished with their blooms, and even their rose hips had been scavenged by bears and birds. The sunflowers, sharing their bounty of seed with the migrating birds, stood as sentinels at odd intervals in the garden, somewhat forlorn and weary-looking. Cabbages split and flax gone to seed. Everyone seems to be getting their pajamas on and preparing for sleep. The rooster, the flower, and even the harvest has lost its glory. The great mother has told her children it's time for bed. And like all children, I wish it could be glorious just a little longer. The weather takes on a whole new attitude almost overnight, and soon she will tuck us all in with a deep blanket of snow.
Lovely.
And then one last one. Oh, wait, there's more. Anyway, I'll just read this one.
Yep.
October 5th last year. I haven't written things down all week. I had every intention to, but I felt like the notepad this week and things were being written on me. I was busy. Fall approaches. Interestingly, I kept pondering on the urgency. I don't work outside the home. My time is my own, or is it? I was going to title this Hair Straight Back. That's how this week felt. I reflected on my title. Was it the wind blowing through my hair? Was it me pressing into the wind? Did I worry about tomorrow? Damn straight I did. This season is a crapshoot weather-wise. One day will be reminiscent of summer and the next will threaten snow. The call to be ready is strong and terrifying. Living in the present and keeping an eye out for the future is a tension I can barely hold. When the hoses are stored properly, hay is in the barn, outside water hydrant shut off, and the garlic planted for next spring, it feels a little safer. Then I hear the magpie. He too shouts warnings and taunts as I scramble to remember everything, and I mean everything. Oh, thank you, magpie. Tractor maintenance, tire changes, and one more load of wood. Whew, hair straight back. Sometimes the spirit blows hard, and we have to press into it. I did hear a flock of birds the other day. I couldn't see them. They must have been quite small, and the cottonwood had not yet dropped its green gown. They chattered with each other, somewhat joyful. At intervals, I could hear them asking questions. I'd never heard their song here before. They sounded like visitors, and I imagined the conversation went something like, "Where are we? It's nice here. Should we make a mental note and come back this way next year? Good idea. Are you all refreshed enough? Shall we continue on? Nightfall approaches." And with that, they burst from the trees like fireworks, flew together in spirals, and like leaves on a blustery day, tumbled into the horizon of the setting sun. They too didn't even have time to linger. Yeah.
The hair straight back just makes me think of linear time. That's the experience of linear time. It's like
Exactly.
productivity and moving forward, and there's glory in that.
Yeah. It's invigorating,
Yeah.
enlivening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on your toes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We
And
need
then when
both.
it's over, you can, and that's what winter has always done for me. Like by the time fall is over, we're exhausted on the farm, because it's just running around and, oh my God, I forgot to do, and then when it's over, you're just like, okay, getting the knitting out. Yeah. Oh, let me just read you this one.
Yeah,
This-
please.
Gumboots. I think it's in here. Yeah, I wrote this in 2012. In time, the wintry mantle will be shed from the rooftops, garden, and trees. Sunshine quickens the rivers and brooks, trickling life into crannies and nooks. Down with the knitting, the books, and food. Up with the gumboots, sweaters, and mood. Winter has left us our thoughts and our fears, taught us to treasure another good year, left us to tend to the garden we made, a garden of dreams and ideas, and bade us farewell as we sail into spring, cultivating all that the winter did bring.
Garden of Dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So lovely, Sherry.
I had
This
to
is
make
really-
it happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a little down on ourselves there for a while.
Hey. Roller coaster
Yeah.
is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Well, this has been rich, Sherry.
Yeah, really good. I love it. I love it, Rigel. Really, really, like super grateful for the space.
Aw,
Enjoy your company. Love your friendship, even though it's virtual.
yeah. Well, maybe one day, you know.
Maybe. Yeah. Hopefully.
Well, any last little nuggets or
I have a request.
please?
I'm going to say goodbye, and then maybe you could usher us out with your 5-minute.
Ooh,
Could you?
yeah,
And I'll listen.
yeah. I the question is, do I have?
I could hear your piano before perfectly when
You
you
can
did-
hear my piano.
Yeah.
I don't have my fingers camera set up right now, but
fine.
you're okay with just like a.
Yeah, just let's hear it, Rigel. I
Just-
love listening to you play the piano.
Okay, well, we'll just do something totally on the spot, Sherry. On the spot.
Okay. Well,
Set,
I'll exit. I'll say goodbye, and I'll give you full screen, mister.
okay.
You go for
Thank
it.
you.
Love ya. See you next week.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
5 minutes. 5 minutes of free jazz. Free eyes closed piano. Here we go. Wow, that was perfect timing. Timer just went off. You all have a lovely rest of your afternoon. And remember, summer solstice, TLC open mic, coming at you June 20th. More details to come. We'll have links. We'll have links. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.